Hello, and welcome to the Bankers Tech Talk video series looking at all things fintech. We've been going now for 5 years, and you can watch all previous episodes on thebanker.com/tech talks. I'm Joy Macknight, managing editor of The Banker, and I'm joined by Ned Phillips, CEO and founder of Bambu, which is a Singapore-based digital wealth technology startup. Ned, thanks so much for joining me today.
No problem, Joy. Thanks for having me.
So it seems like wealth tech is a big technology trend now. What is, making it gain so much traction in the industry?
I think that the real thing that happened in the last 5 years is what we call the democratization of wealth. This reality that people's ability to have great financial advice shouldn't just be limited to how much money you have. Up until now, the reality of the industry has been that it has been the high net worths who've got the best financial advice because the cost to the industry of manually providing advice has always been quite high. But I think what digitalization has done and fintech has done has shown that the barriers to entry to a whole range of different sectors of finance have changed. And I think wealth has been one of the cornerstones of that, in that with a digital distribution platform, you can provide wealth across every sector, from retail, mass affluent, and high net worth. So I think that combination of fintech expanding, a change of cost of actually delivering wealth, has really seen the ability for more and more people to digitize that whole wealth experience.
Okay, but it's also a pretty busy space, and there's a lot of robo-advisor platforms out there. So how does Bambu differentiate itself?
Yeah, well, actually, interestingly, Joy, I might have a slightly different view in that this idea that the robo-advisory is a very busy space is certainly the narrative. But in reality, at the moment, we're not going to many conferences because at the time we're in, but I would go to fintech conferences and ask people to put up their hand if they manage their money on a robo. And I would say about 1% of an audience in a fintech conference did. So I think for all of us in fintech, we see robo and digitization as being widespread. But the reality is it's still at the very early stages. And the analogy is this: 10 years ago, only some banks had online banking or a banking app. Today, it's a hygiene factor. There isn't a single bank in the world, really, who wouldn't be thinking of having an online bank. But I would say today, most wealth managers are still getting that. So what makes Bambu different is, number one, we're a technology company. So rather than just providing investment advice, we try to solve the single problem is how do you build, if you're a large financial institution, an engaging digital journey on an application? And we think of ourselves as a technology company first. And I think that's been able to set us apart.
Okay, and you sort of touched on it there, but obviously you've been partnering with a lot of big financial institutions. Can you talk a little bit about some of those relationships, and then also what are the banks getting out of this partnership?
Sure. So some of the biggest ones we've worked with: Standard Chartered, HSBC, Franklin Templeton. Indeed, Franklin Templeton is an investor in us. And I think I can characterize part of that relationship to say, clearly a Franklin Templeton is specialists and one of the world's best at managing money. That's what they do. But they're not a technology company in their first part of their DNA. But I think what they are getting it from us is that our DNA is technology. How do we design and build great user journeys? How do we have APIs that do all part of that wealth journey, from transactions and portfolio allocations, and do it seamlessly? So I think what they're getting from using a technology company like ourselves is the ability to say, how can we actually engage the customer, rather than just selling products? So, and similarly, as we've built across the wealth spectrum. So with some of our clients, we've built mass retail products, but with Standard Chartered, for example, we build a tool for the private banking sector. So I think what they see from us is a different thought process. So rather than just how do I sell products, is how do I engage customers so they stay with me and ultimately buy more products.
Okay, and I understand that 2020 is really the year of expansion for Bambu. How difficult really is this under the COVID-19 pandemic? And what are your plans?
The one thing that has really happened with COVID, which has been a difficult time for us all, is that the bank's desire and need and almost mandate is digital now. All of wealth is digital. And this is what we've been providing over the last 4 or 5 years. So while COVID, we know, is an incredibly challenging time for us all, for a digital wealth company like ourselves, our products are in more demand, not less. So it's a unique opportunity to provide those products to our customers worldwide.
Well, thank you so much for your insights, Ned.
No problem at all, Joy. It was nice to speak to you.